Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions for week 2. Last week, I thought I did a lot worse than what I did. I ended up 11 and 5, which and it would have been a lot better if two teams would have nailed their upsets. Looking right at you, Tennessee and Arizona. But we're now on to week 2, and we're going to start off with Thursday night football with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. The Bills, they got a come from behind win over the Arizona Cardinals. And the Miami Dolphins come from behind win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game will be played in Miami, the first Thursday night game of the season. I do think this game's going to be it's going to be a pretty close, but for some reason, I'm just still not a believer in Buffalo football. So because of that, I do think Miami's going to win this game. And I believe the running game will probably take shape in this one. Following that, we have the New Orleans Saints traveling to Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys. New Orleans Saints did a shellacking over the division rival Carolina Panthers, and Derek Carr basically went back to his old Raider form. As for the Dallas Cowboys, they went on the road to beat the Cleveland Browns, and but what both teams did in their games, they both used offense, defense, and special teams all to their advantage. Now, for New Orleans, they might have had the benefactor of playing a very lowly Carolina team. And I don't know if they're going to stand up to a juggernaut like Dallas. I am going to roll with Dallas to win this game. And it says 6.5 is the favorite. I don't see it. Don't see it. Following that, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Detroit Lions, a rematch of the division round of last year. Tampa Bay, they got a win over the Washington Commanders. Baker Mayfield looked really good in that game. And Detroit Lions, they had a come from behind win over the Rams, and they had to use overtime to win. And they're giving the Lions 7 points. That's really disrespectful for Tampa Bay. But to me, the Lions are the better team in this situation. I am going to go ahead and pick the Lions, but I do expect a really good battle. One of the underrated games we have this week. And yeah, I'm going to roll with the Detroit Lions to win. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Green Bay Packers for Green Bay's home opener. The Colts had a tough home division loss over the Houston Texans, but Anthony Richardson, he looked pretty well. He looked pretty good in that game. And Green Bay had a tough road loss in Brazil to the Eagles, where Jordan Love hurt his knee and he'll be out for like the next 3 or 4 weeks. So that means Malik Willis will be in line to start for the Packers. Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. If Now I will say this: if Jordan Love was healthy, I will probably lean towards the Green Bay Packers to win. But since he's not playing, I have to roll with the Indianapolis Colts to win. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game. So Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson, yeah, brace yourselves. It's going to be a good game for you two. Now we have the New York Jets taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Jets had a tough road loss over the 49ers in Aaron Rodgers' first true game over as a New York Jet. We're not counting that game he had against the Bills. And then we have the Tennessee Titans, who had a 17-point lead over the Chicago Bears, and they proceed to blow it. Now, most of Tennessee, their wounds were very self-inflicted because they lost because of their special teams. I think they muffed the punt. Will Levis threw a pick six, and something else happened. I know the Titans did not give up an offensive touchdown, so that's points for that. Now for the Jets, they struggled on both sides of the ball a little bit, but I think they could knock off some rust. It might have been I might chalk it up to rust for them. They are giving the Jets 3.5 points in this game. I am going to roll with the New York Jets to rebound. The defense had a rough game last week. I think they're going to have a good game this week. I also don't expect a lot of scoring in this game. This might be one of the lower scoring games of the season. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. How ironic. The 49ers, they had a Monday night win over the New York Jets, and Christian McCaffrey, he wasn't needed. He didn't play, but Mason, he looked really good running that rock. As for the Minnesota Vikings, they had a good road victory over the New York Giants, but it's the New York Giants, so that's like beating up on a loose child. Now, for the 49ers, they expect a lot more in this building, especially what happened to them in here last year when they lost on Monday Night Football to the Vikings. But in this game, Sam Darnold will be taking on his former team. A lot of y'all don't know that. But, however, I am going to roll with the 49ers to win on the road. They might end up dominating in this game. Then we have two teams that had very surprising week ones. The New England Patriots hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle got a win over the Denver Broncos. I know theirs is less surprising, but there are some people that were believing in the Broncos this year. But how about the New England Patriots? First game of the season, going to Cincinnati, stunning the Bengals. I'll talk more about the Bengals in a bit. But kudos to them using a running game in defense, which is the old Belichick way of winning games. Now, this is going to be their home opener. And in this game, this could go in any direction. Part of me do want to take New England. However, I just think Seattle have a little more talent on their roster. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks to win in this one. And next up, we have the New York Giants taking on the Washington Commanders in Jaden Daniels' first home game. The Giants. I mean, the only good thing that happened to you is that you were not the Panthers. And again, we'll talk about the Panthers in a bit. Daniel Jones, he did not look good in his first game back with injury. Hell, the whole team didn't look good. And they look like the second worst team in the league right now. Should have paid Saquon. Meanwhile, the Commanders lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think this was one of their cases where they did lose to the better team. But Jaden Daniels, 2 rushing touchdowns, not bad. This game will be played at home. And yes, I am very, very tempted to take the Commanders to win this game. They are given 1.5 points for them. But something is telling me that the New York Giants are going to go into FedEx Field and sneak out a shocking win to silence all the doubters. I am going to roll with the New York Giants, and it's mostly have to do with their history over the Commanders. Because if you don't know, the Giants, they beat them pretty good every year. And now we have the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Carolina Panthers in a game where I expect no one to attend. Well, for the Chargers, they did have a good win over division rival Raiders, where their defense of all things looked like a formidable unit. Impressive. It's going to be pretty much a defense and running game for the Chargers. And the Carolina Panthers, it's already week 1 and your season's already over. Bryce Young, he did not improve. He looked like the worst quarterback in the league. The offense looked bad. The defense looked bad. The special teams gave up long punt returns. Every way the Panthers could lose a game, they found a way to lose it. So you will not expect me to see me in this building for another season. Might be a while till I touch Bank of America Stadium. How bad the Panthers are. Panthers, yeah, they're the worst team in the league. This is gonna be easily the Chargers game to lose. I'm picking the Chargers to win. Panthers, just 15 more weeks of this suffering. And speaking of suffering, the Cleveland Browns are going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Browns home loss over the Dallas Cowboys. And while people are clowning Deshaun Watson, I'm actually going to defend him a little bit. Because if you don't know, the Friday before the game, his dad passed away. Maybe his mom was not in it. Because, hey, it's his father. It's his death of his father. What more can you say about that? And yet people are still going to clown him because he was not good, which he wasn't. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars blew it against the Miami Dolphins, and I might pretty much put this game all on Travis Etienne fumbling by the goal line, because had he scored and not fumbled, that game would have been over. Instead, when he fumbled by the goal line, it gave the Miami Dolphins momentum. And all I got to say for the Jaguars is tick, tick, Doug Peterson. Tick, tick. But fortunately for the Jaguars, this game's at home. I think this game could go in any direction it chooses to. But I am going to roll with the Jacksonville Jaguars using the weather to their advantage. The hot heat, the humidity, Florida weather. I think that's going to play a factor. I'm going to roll with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win. Hopefully they'll hold on to the lead this time. And next up, we have the biggest spread of the week. The Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Raiders lost to the Chargers over some questionable coaching by Antonio Pierce. Like toward the end of the game, instead of going for it, he punted and trusted his defense. Which, not gonna lie, the Raiders had a good defensive game, sort of, but it bit them in the back when the Chargers actually drove down the field and scored a touchdown. Meanwhile, for the Baltimore Ravens, they lost to the Chiefs by a toe, and had they scored that touchdown, the Ravens was lining up to go for two for the win. But they didn't. They lost on the road. But they let us know that the Ravens might stay there. They're going to be a mainstay in the AFC still. But luckily, this game is in Baltimore. And they're giving them 9.5 points per game. Almost our first double-digit favorite of the season. I am going to still roll with the Ravens to win this game. And I don't see a scenario where the Raiders win. And by me saying that, I just jinxed the Ravens. And now on to the 4 o'clock slate. We have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams had a tough road loss to the Detroit Lions, where Puka Nacua got hurt. He hurt his knee. He'll be out for 4 weeks. They also lost the left tackle. I know they lost their left tackle in that game as well. And as for the Cardinals, yeah, they blew it against the Bills. They were one of my upset picks of the week. And hey, first half looked good for you at least. In a game where Marvin Harrison only had 1 catch. Your number 4 overall pick had just 1 catch. Well, he probably is going to get going next week against this Rams team. This Rams secondary. They're going to try to get him the ball more. However, I am going to roll with the Rams to win on the road. Because what the Rams proved to me is all they need is Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Kyren Williams to win games. And I think that's going to be, they ain't going to really need big games for all 3 of those guys. Following that, we have a team that always steals victories and a rebuilding Broncos team. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers and Denver Broncos. Steelers, once again, BSing their way to another victory where they did not score an offensive touchdown and yet they still won because TJ Watt is just a one-man wrecking crew. Seriously, why can't teams game plan for this guy? He does at least one of these spectacular plays every week. And I also challenge the Steelers to win like a normal team. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos, tough road loss over the Seattle Seahawks. Bo Nix looked like a rookie, but he did look better than Bryce Young. I'll give him that. And this game is going to be played in Denver. Part of me want to see Russell Wilson start this game. However, its trends are leaning towards Justin Fields starting for a second week in a row. And I think they're going to pretty much roll with him in this game as well. This game's being played in Denver. I am torn, but part of me want to take the Denver Broncos to win. However, because of that Steeler defense, running game, George Pickens, TJ Watt, and the fact that they always know how to pull wins out of their rear ends, I gotta roll with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. And then we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in Burrowhead. Okay, not really. But Cincinnati, once again, struggling in the early half parts of the season. What is with Cincinnati and their September struggles? Because they look pretty bad against the New England Patriots. Well, part of it is due to their special teams and costly mistakes by the goal line. Meanwhile, the Chiefs got a win over the Baltimore Ravens. Rashid Rice looked pretty good. Xavier Worthy looks like he's going to be a nice pick for them. And yeah, Chiefs are probably pretty much going to win for the third year in a row. The Bengals going to start off 0-2 to start the season. And then we have Monday Night Football with the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Falcons I think they blew it against the Steelers in a game where I believe they actually might have outgained them in ways they outplayed the Steelers, but they found ways to self-destruct and lose. Kirk Cousins had a vintage Kirk Cousins game. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, they went on the road, got a win over in Brazil to beat the Green Bay Packers. Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns. AJ Brown, touchdown. Even though Jalen Hurts had a pretty up and down game, let's be honest. But hey, the Eagles found a way to get it done. This game's being played in Philly. I'm going to lean towards the Eagles winning. They are the better team. They have a ton of more talent than the Falcons. And yeah, so far, my hot take about the Falcons this season is looking very, very shaky. If you know, you know. And last but not least, my game of the week. The Chicago Bears taking on the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football. The Bears, they got a win, but it was in spite of Caleb Williams. He didn't have to do much as the Bears defense and special teams got all of their points to lead them a come from behind win over the Tennessee Titans. Meanwhile, the Texans got a really good road win, division win over the Indianapolis Colts. Now for this game, I do expect Caleb Williams to do a little more than what he did last week. But this game's being played in Houston. I am going to roll with the Houston Texans to win this game. And I think it's not even going to be that close. So tell me what you think, who's going to win in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please gamble safely. And I'll see you next time.